Today we have an urgent update for you. Due to various global challenges, shortages of some essential products are expected in August. In this video, we will discuss 6 key products to stock up on before they disappear from the shelves. The first is rice. Rice is a staple food for more than half of the world's population and faces serious issues that will likely lead to shortages in August 2024. The global rice supply is disrupted by numerous factors, including geopolitical tensions and adverse weather conditions. One of the most critical problems is the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, which has increased the cost of staple grains like wheat. As a result, there is an increased demand for alternatives to grains, such as rice, which further exacerbates the supply situation. China, the largest rice producer in the world, and Pakistan, a significant producer, faced serious weather issues. Intense heat and drought in China, combined with severe monsoon floods in Pakistan, led to a significant decrease in rice production. This reduction primarily affects the Asia-Pacific region, where 90% of the world's rice is consumed. The expected shortage will lead to a sharp rise in prices, which will particularly negatively affect the food security of the poorest households. In the United States, rice prices have already risen significantly. For example, in 2023, the average price of rice was $17.55 per 100 pounds, which is a substantial increase compared to $1.32 in 2021. Prices are expected to remain high, possibly dropping slightly to $14.50 per 100 pounds in 2024, but still reflecting ongoing supply pressure. In addition, the U.S. Department of Agriculture raised the rice production forecast for the years 2024 and 2025 to 22,700,000 pounds, mainly due to an increase in planting areas. However, despite this increase, the global market is still under pressure from shortages in key production regions that are not recovering quickly enough to meet global demand. This complex web of geopolitical issues, unfavorable weather conditions, and increased demand for alternatives due to high grain prices highlights the importance of preparing for a rice shortage. Consumers and retailers should consider purchasing rice to mitigate the impact of these shortages on their food budgets. The second item is vegetable oils. In the year 2024, vegetable oils will face a serious shortage due to multiple factors. Palm oil, a staple product, has experienced significant supply disruptions. Indonesia, a leading producer, has imposed export restrictions to stabilize domestic prices, resulting in a 25% decrease in global supplies. The production of soybean oil has suffered from prolonged droughts in South America, especially in Argentina and Brazil, leading to reduced yields. The conflict in Ukraine has further exacerbated the global supply of sunflower oil, as Ukraine and Russia together account for a significant share of world production. These disruptions have led to a sharp rise in prices and reduced availability. Biofuels have worsened the shortage of vegetable oil. Politicians supporting renewable energy have significantly increased the consumption of oils for biodiesel and renewable diesel production, diverting them from food supply chains. This shift has greatly contributed to global shortages and rising prices. For example, the FAO's price index for vegetable oil showed a significant increase in 2024, reflecting supply tensions and high demand. Efforts to mitigate these shortages include exploring alternative raw material sources for biofuels, such as algae and agricultural residues that do not directly compete with food crops. Innovations are also being developed in oilseed crops, such as Sativa viburnum, to provide sustainable sources for both food and fuel, aiming to balance the needs of both sectors without exacerbating shortages. Beef is expected to face significant shortages in August 2024 due to several key factors affecting the industry. The main issue is the ongoing impact of severe droughts in major livestock-producing regions such as Texas and California. These droughts led to a reduction in pastures, forcing herders to reduce their herds earlier, which in turn significantly decreased the breeding stock and affected the future supply of beef. Another factor is the rise in prices of feed corn and soybeans, which are important components of livestock feed. Prices have increased due to lower yields and high demand, making livestock maintenance more expensive and contributing to a further reduction in cattle numbers. In addition, the meat industry faces logistical problems. A shortage of labor at processing plants has slowed production rates, causing bottlenecks in the supply chain. This not only affects the availability of beef, but also raises prices as demand continues to exceed supply. Global demand for beef has also increased, especially from countries like China, which imports large volumes to compensate for its own production deficits. This international demand exacerbates internal supply issues, leading to further shortages and rising prices in the U.S. market. To mitigate these issues, several strategies are considered, including improving water resource management in drought-prone areas, incentives for increasing the breeding stock, and advancements in feeding efficiency. However, these measures take time to implement and may not provide immediate relief. The shortage of eggs in 2024 is mainly caused by the largest outbreak of highly pathogenic avian influenza in history, which devastated the poultry population. The United States suffered particularly heavily, with over 58 million birds affected in 47 states. This led to a significant reduction in the population for controlling the spread of the virus, sharply decreasing the number of laying hens. The loss of millions of hens in major egg-producing states like California has exacerbated shortages, creating supply instability. Egg prices continue to rise, worsened by the effects of avian influenza. Increasing feed costs create additional financial difficulties for farmers. Typically, feed constitutes 60 to 70% of the costs of egg production, and rising prices for corn and soybeans further reduce the profitability of this segment. The economic situation characterized by high transport, electricity, and interest rates makes it difficult for farmers to expand their herds or maintain current production levels. Moreover, the shift to producing eggs from free-range or cage-free hens, driven by consumer demand and legislative changes such as Proposition 12 in California, has also contributed to the shortage. These agricultural methods require more space and resources, which reduces overall production capacity. Supply constraints are likely to persist, especially in the winter months when production naturally decreases due to shorter daylight. Retail prices for eggs have significantly increased despite some fluctuations, and even with a slight decrease in recent months, they remain substantially higher compared to previous years. This volatility is expected to continue as the industry recovers from the effects of avian influenza and adapts to higher production costs. In 2024, coffee faces serious challenges due to various global factors affecting supply and prices, primarily caused by adverse weather conditions in key coffee-producing regions. Brazil, which accounts for about 40% of the world's Arabica coffee production, has experienced severe droughts and unusual frosts in recent years. These weather events have significantly reduced the coffee harvest, leading to a substantial decrease in available supplies. In addition to climate issues, the demand for coffee is steadily increasing worldwide. Countries like China are experiencing a sharp rise in coffee consumption, driven by the expansion of major coffee retailers and the introduction of coffee culture into new markets. This increasing demand creates additional pressure on already overloaded supply chains. Global supply chain disruptions, including port delays and container shortages, further complicate the coffee market. These logistical problems hinder the transportation of coffee beans from producing countries to consumers, exacerbating the shortage. Economic factors also play their role. High interest rates made financing more expensive for coffee traders, leading to reduced margins and financial difficulties for small traders. This situation has led some traders to be unable to sell their stocks at prices that cover their costs, further constraining supply in the market. Moreover, the shift to biofuels has increased demand for agricultural land, sometimes at the expense of coffee plantations. This trend contributes to the reduction of areas allocated for coffee, affecting the overall availability of coffee beans. As a result of these factors, coffee prices have reached record levels since the mid-90s, and its cost continues to rise. The production and transportation of bananas are becoming increasingly expensive, leading to rising prices for this product. In 2024, bananas will face a critical shortage due to several factors. The main threat is a tropical fungus race 4, known as Panama disease. This pathogen affects the roots of banana plants, causing them to wilt and die. The tropical race 4 spread from Southeast Asia to key banana production regions in Central and South America, which provide about 80% of the world's Cavendish banana supply. The Cavendish variety, which makes up almost all commercial banana production, is particularly vulnerable. Climate change exacerbates the problem, causing rising temperatures and unstable weather conditions, including droughts and heavy rains, which negatively affect banana yields. These ecological stresses hinder the development of banana plants and their resistance to diseases such as tropical race 4. The combination of diseases and climatic factors leads to reduced harvest volumes, which in turn contributes to rising prices and decreased availability of this product. Additional complexities arise from supply chain disruptions. Delays at ports, a shortage of containers, and logistical bottlenecks slow down the transportation of bananas from farmers to markets. This leads to product spoilage and increased costs, further complicating global supplies. Economic factors also play a significant role. Rising costs of fertilizers and pesticides, along with falling market prices, make banana cultivation less profitable. Many small farmers are struggling to maintain their plantations, leading to decreased production. These problems prompt attempts to diversify banana cultivation. Scientists are working on developing banana varieties resistant to tropical race 4 and promoting the cultivation of alternative banana species for long-term sustainability. However, the implementation of these solutions takes time, and the current shortage is expected to persist, affecting both consumers and producers worldwide.